This is the Abbey Road Museum project from Miss Snyder as created by Tejpal Sahota. After opening the image, proceed to crop the section you plan to use. You can do this by selecting the crop tool, clicking and holding the left mouse button on the area you'd like to retain, right-clicking and selecting crop. Afterwards, proceed to use the quick mask tool. This can be seen directly under the two color selector at the bottom left-hand side of the program. Ensure the color is set to black and select the brush tool. Continue on to select the area around what you would like to keep, in this case the four Beatles themselves and the lines in the zebra crossing. This is a fairly tedious task. One may think of using the magnetic selector tool, but due to the graininess on this picture and the lack of contrast with the background, one must use the quick mask. Be sure to pay special attention to the facial regions, as these are the most crucial parts of the picture, as it is easier to identify with the shape once the final product has been created. As one can see, I have chosen not to include the iconic car in the background. Although it is significant in its value as a myth, as the license plate is purported to represent the death of Paul McCartney, it is not a necessary component in showing the overall significance of the band, and may have taken away from the image as a whole. One may find it useful to use the shortcut keys of the square brackets to increase and decrease the size. It is important to note that it is wise to use a brush without a gradient edge. After everything has been selected, click on the quick mask button. You should be able to now separate the image from its background and make it easier to work with. Since the original picture was very large, the next stage, which is the splitting of the image into its fundamental layers, will be shown using a different, smaller picture. You can apply the same knowledge to whichever picture though. Begin by going to the filter menu found at the top, then to artistic, and then cutout. Use the slider bar on the right to split the image into the appropriate amount of layers. After this, make the number of layers you split the image into plus 1. In this case, I'm just going to demonstrate a few layers, so I haven't done so. Make sure the selected layer is the original, and then click on the magic selector tool, which is found in your toolbar. Most versions of Photoshop have this tool, although those dating before 1999 may not. After clicking in the central region of a large color portion, go to select in the color bar menu, and then similar. Then, click on one of the new layers, select the brush tool, set a color, and color in the area. Do this again for all the various layers. Make a new file. Go back to the first file, right-click on one of the newly created layers, and select Duplicate Layer. On the window that pops up, choose to save it on the new file. Save this new file as a JPEG, GIF, or PNG file. Open up Rasterbator, a free program that I'll use to blow up the pictures to fit multiple pages. You can find it at the web address shown. Choose a dot size of around 3 mm. This program will generate a multi-page .pdf file that you can print out. This is what you will cut. On to the cutting. Set up a table where you can sit comfortably, as most multi-page stencils are rather complex and require a lot of time to complete. Ensure you have adequate lighting and you can easily identify the positions of the dots generated by the Rasterbator. Also have a small, low bin where you can dispose of the small paper cutouts. Set up the stencils on a self-healing mat or cutting board. Cut as close to the smallest circle on the outside as possible. As said before, pay special attention to the facial regions. Be sure not to create an island, which is a part you are not supposed to cut out surrounded by an area you do. Make long, thin connecting strips to support these pieces. To make it easier, try to make these bridges, as they are called, in Photoshop. The sequence you are currently viewing was sped up many times. The clock in the background gives you a better idea of the time elapsed during this cutout stage. In this case, in order to fill the canvas purchased for this particular project, 36 sheets were consumed in total, 12 for each layer. They were made landscape oriented and printed to the dimensions of A4 paper. Each of the sheets were given a letter number combination so that its order could be remembered. For example, the first sheet on the top left of the gray layer was called G1. After you are finished cutting out the stencil, proceed to spraying onto your medium, which in this case is a 4 by 2 foot canvas. One tip is to cut out the entire region and then take the paper fragments out after. After you have finished cutting up the stencil, proceed to spray painting onto your medium, which in this case is a 4 by 2 foot canvas. And now on to the actual spraying of the stencils. Make the background first. It is normally better to apply a layer of primer to your medium, as most spray paints will eat through most materials. For example, the main ingredient in the spray paint I used was acetone, which is most commonly found in household nail polish remover. Or you can always choose to do it in very many light layers, as demonstrated in this video. After the background is done, start by laying out the layers on the ground in the order to be sprayed. Since this picture has a clearly defined ground, I began with the bottom row of the first layer. Make sure to align each of the papers after every spray, lining up the edges from the previous sheet. Normally, one would like to start with the darkest layer and work towards the lightest, but in this case I went from black to white due to a complexity issue. If the layer is more complicated but lighter, it is normally fine to spray it first, and put the less complex layer, no matter its shade, above. If the layer applied is very heavy, you should allow it to dry before proceeding. Metallic colors normally have compounds within them that will dissolve any other color below or above them, even when it is dry. This is due to the accelerant from anything that goes above it, reactivating the chemicals within it, and then subsequently eating the color away. Make final touches with the spray paint can equipped with a skinny cap. Skinny caps produce a very thin line. Some examples are banana skinnies and New York skinnies. You can normally find these at your local graffiti supply shops. The spray paint you use should be low pressure spray paint. This prevents under and oversprays. These are caused by the pressure in the can floating the paper stencil and spraying in the regions that it shouldn't. Low pressure spray paint mists the paint, opposed to high pressure that spews it on. Be sure to wear a respirator during this project. Breathing in gaseous acetone and propane isn't only stupid, it's dangerous. If you notice yourself getting a headache, seek medical attention. The one time in American history you can actually cough up red, white, and blue is from inhaling paint fumes. Masks such as the ones I was wearing do not keep out the fumes, which are the most damaging byproducts of spray painting. Be sure to keep it safe, and you can always apply these skills directly to recreate any scene. This how-to guide is not only limited to recreating the Abbey Road scene, so have fun applying this to anything imaginable. Unless you have a sharp eye and caught a glimpse of what I just created at the end there, the final product will be shown in class. Thanks for watching.